Hello, and welcome to another City of Latrobe Managers video blog. My name is Alex Graziani, and I'm so happy that you can join us. Just wanted to take some time, and I appreciate you've taken some time to go over some of the things that are exciting and happening in the city. Just recently, the city police department here in Latrobe was able to host a drug summit, and what the drug summit was meant to build awareness of what is happening with our community. We take the issue of drug addiction, the crimes related to drugs very seriously in this town. Drugs devastate families, they devastate households, they ruin lives. And there's so much damage that happens as drug affects individuals, families, and eventually communities. The summit was led by Officer John Sleesman. Detective Sleesman is about a 15 member of the Latrobe police force. He leads our efforts related to the drug task force and our participation in the county program, as well as led the program that night. John assembled a great panel of speakers from the county, the coroner's office, the district attorney, the public defenders, to the school district, members of the school district talking about the prevention programs that exist, K through 12 within the greater Latrobe School District, as well as prevention programs that families could connect with and find out how they can help maybe family members with drug problems, drug addiction. Again, drugs are a devastating thing within our community, and we're dedicated to finding ways to meet the drug problem, but it can't be done alone. Our police officers, quite frankly, make poor drug counselors. When they're involved, it's really too late in many circumstances. Nobody's beyond hope, don't get me wrong, but really it's about families, it's about churches, it's about schools, it's about neighborhoods, people making themselves aware, becoming educated about what drugs are out there. Prescription drugs, for example. Many young people are introduced to drugs simply by going through the medicine cabinet. It doesn't take an expert to figure out where people keep drugs in their home. It's in the cupboard next to the sink in the kitchen. It's in the medicine cabinet in the bathroom. And so what ends up happening many times, people who are visiting the house, teenagers might be visiting your teenagers. They're going to the bathroom, they're looking in the cabinet, and unfortunately, they might be taking the drugs that you haven't looked at for a long time, an old prescription that you never finished. There are programs, for example, that are coming up even this week. We have a Take Back program where people who have expired drugs can go to the medicine shop this Saturday and dispose of their drugs there, their old prescription drugs. But I just want to encourage folks, if you have a drug problem in your family, do what you can to get help. If you feel like you have a drug problem in your neighborhood, go online to the city website. You can download a report form, a form where you can report to us the problem that's in your neighborhood, and we can follow up and then investigate that as well. But it really is a community-wide effort. Everybody needs to be involved in the issue of drugs, and it is something we take very seriously. On another subject, a little bit lighter than the serious subject of drugs, very exciting week here in Latrobe. Probably by the time any of you view this, it might be completed, and that's the rebuild of Playland. We call it Playland Rebuild 2, I think it's what it's being officially called. And this is where thousands of volunteers will be taking part, or thousands of hours of hundreds of volunteer people taking part in the rebuild of Playland here at Legion Keener Park. As many of you know, a fire destroyed most of Playland last year. And out of that devastating and horrible act has risen a wonderful community response. Generosity of businesses like Kennemental, UPS, Latrobe Specialty Steel, 84 Lumber, and on, have stepped forward to donate money and time, and there's lots of volunteers working. In fact, city employees themselves will donate over 100 hours of volunteer time to help rebuild the Playland. I'm very proud of that and the city work effort. Another thing going on in the city, of course, is the transfer station issue. I've talked about this a little bit last manager video blog. We are advertising for a new 5-year residential and commercial bid and recycling program. Within that advertisement is a request for prices related to the transport and disposal at the transfer station, as well as taking over the roll-off service currently done by city employees. So we're looking at those bids being in May 15th. Council will review those bids at the agenda meeting on May 28th, and then in the June meeting, for the first time, consider whether to accept one of the bids, reject all the bids, or wait another month and table the discussion for a future meeting. So stay tuned for that. That's online as well. At the last council agenda meeting, we had a chance to review the early intervention program, 5-year financial management plan, steps 1, 2, and 3, excuse me, with Delta Development. This is a proactive step of the city to take a hard look at the history of our finances, the present of our finances, and the future of where we're going related to finances. And as many of you have known from hearing different managers' video blog, we're going to have to continue down the road of belt tightening and doing better with the taxpayer's purse. Unfortunately, like a lot of many households have had to deal with, our revenues aren't increasing. Many of you can relate to that. Your paychecks aren't getting any bigger. Yeah, you might get a 1 or 2% raise, but you know that's barely keeping in pace with inflation. And over time, it seems that you're able to do less with the amount of money, even though it might be more than what you had in the past. That's the same thing with the city. We're not a growing community. In fact, we've lost population over the years. The assessed valuation of real property in the city has decreased, and at the same time has been exacerbated by a number of properties seeking nonprofit status and tax exemption. And though while we welcome the jobs related to some of the expansions, for example, at the hospital or at Adelphi, there is a net impact to the city's ability to raise revenue. Given the revenue picture being stagnant, the expenditure side, of course, is not, and has been a little bit more challenging to control, and has certainly not been flat over the years. Whether it's employee contracts, benefits that we pay, or fuel or energy costs, they're increasing, and quite frankly, increasing faster than the rate of the revenue increase. So the trajectory is not sustainable. We're going to have to change course on the expenditure side and decrease maybe some city services and the way we do certain services, as well as find ways to maybe enhance revenues. And with both of those happening in the right direction, we might be able to have some sustainability. But the report as it stands now paints a picture of an unsustainable scenario, one that within 5 years we would be looking at a $500,000 annual deficit if we don't change course. So again, we're trying to be proactive and handle that. Related to that issue, of course, is what we're doing with parking. As many of you know, we're doing away with these old mechanical meters and have installed electronic meters around the city. With that will be the new rates. They're all in effect. New rates for passes, fines, and the meter rate. The old meter rate for 1 quarter to 2 hour meter, you could get 60 minutes. That quarter will get you 30 minutes now. It's still quite a bargain compared to most major cities around the country and even around the area. It's a pretty good deal. But it's a necessary thing because of what we're doing related to the parking system. Of course, we spent $3 million to fix the parking garage, and we spent quite a bit of money around not only the garage but around the city to be able to update the parking management system. The new meters going to electronic, different enhancements around the city, including cameras that we've installed to protect our investments, and that's for another future manager's video blog. What's coming up? Well, 2 things are coming up. Lastly, we have coming down the pike, the mayoral election and the city council candidates. Within a couple weeks, you'll be hearing a lot and maybe seeing a lot of yard signs pop up in your neighborhood. I can't stress enough the importance of the democratic process and becoming informed voters and voting for mayoral candidates and city council candidates who have a vision for a future. A lot of folks can identify problems, and many others don't have a problem complaining about the problems, but few people possess the leadership characteristics and the vision necessary to really help change the community's trajectory. The city of Latrobe is facing a lot of problems going into the future, not many different than what churches or families will struggle with. Budgetary problems. We've mentioned the drug problem with our community. Aging infrastructure. How do we advance this to be a community where it's attractive to young families and new investment? Those problems, those issues can be met with people who have vision, character, and leadership skills. So I would encourage you to vote, based on those things and become involved and informed voters. And on May 28th, right after Memorial Day, we'll be doing another round with our EIP consultant, and would love to have folks come out to that meeting. We'll be looking at the delivery of services. This first snapshot dealt with the finances, The second one would look at the delivery of services, and we'll drill down into how we can better do policing and fire and public works and all those things. You know, to me, it's not enough to be a good institution. Our goal is not good, it's great. Good isn't good enough. Great is where we want to be. I'm dedicated as a city manager to lead us to great and to do whatever I can to be a good steward of the taxpayer's purse. It's incumbent upon you who listen to this video to share it with others, to share the link to others, but also to get engaged. Come to the meeting. That meeting will be taking place on Tuesday. Again, it's right after Memorial Day. We usually meet on Mondays, and we're looking at starting the meeting a little earlier that night at 6 p.m. So you want to make sure you come and be a part of that meeting and learn what's happening in your community. It's a privilege to be your city manager. I'm glad you've taken a moment to watch this video. Thank you.